party later today. My friend Erica and I share the same birthday, so we're having a double birthday party. But first, I'm going to Erica's house to bake the most awesome cake ever. And maybe even do more because of this question from Maya.
What type of experiments can you do in your kitchen?
Well, Maya, I definitely think baking is an experiment, especially if you're making something for your first time. This was supposed to be a fluffy cake, but I ended up with this mess. But I'll get the answer to your question by the end of the show. And plus, Erica is a winner of a TV cooking show, so our experiment is going to be awesome. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Zoe.
Look what I brought.
Cool. Thanks.
Hey, Erica, do you think cooking is like an experiment?
Cooking is exactly like an experiment. You follow a recipe and see regular ingredients transform into something totally different. So first, we're gonna start with the sugar, so you can add this to the flour.
Okay. Our tasty experiment uses dry ingredients like baking soda and baking powder.
Wow.
Then the wet stuff. Good?
Yeah.
Put it all together and mix it up.
So now we have to add the thing that makes this normal vanilla cake a funfetti cake. So the sprinkles.
It looks so fun. This is gonna be one tasty cake. Once it turns into a cake, that is. Which reminds me of a question I got from Adriana.
What makes a cake rise?
It says magic on the box, but it's not really magic powder, right?
No, it's not magic, it's science. It works with the baking soda to create little bubbles of gas.
Cool. Both baking powder and baking soda create a cool chemical reaction. It's kind of like when you mix baking soda and vinegar. Watch that chemistry in action.
It creates little bubbles of gas. That's what makes our cake rise. Once we add the baking soda to the cake mix, we have to put it in the oven right away.
That reminds me of an experiment my friends did. It uses baking soda too. The experiment! Hi, Raphael and Amber.
Hi, Zoe.
So what are you cooking up in your experiment?
It's a secret.
We mix baking soda and water in a bowl.
Now we could draw something on the paper.
Are you guys sure about this experiment? I don't see anything. You're not supposed to.
Not yet.
Oh, I see. It's like invisible ink.
Yes.
We just have to let it dry. Now we paint lemon juice over our paper.
The lemon is acidic and it reacts to the baking soda.
And it makes our invisible ink appear. Oh, yeah. This is pretty cool. I see it now.
Happy birthday, Zoe!
That chemical reaction was kind of like the way baking soda reacts with the acidity in our cake mix. It was important to add the right amount of baking soda and baking powder to our cake, or else it wouldn't rise properly.
When my family and I cook, if we make a mistake, we can usually turn it into something anyways and make it work. Like one time, we turned spaghetti sauce failure into tomato soup.
Cooking is like an art, but baking, it's super precise, like a science.
Hang on. I feel an experiment. Yes, a musical experiment. I'm a cook. I'm a baker. Secret spices in my shaker. I can bake an awesome caker. A pinch of pepper, a dash of salt. I must measure without a fault. Forgot the meat, no need to worry. No baking soda, I'm going blurry. Instead, I made a Zoe surprise. Ha! But my souffle, it just won't rise. They say that cooking is an art. Baking's like science, just look at my chart. I use any ingredients I have on hand. Hey, I can do this cool handstand. But together we can make a delicious meal. Okay, my friend, you got a deal. You got a deal. You got a deal. You got a deal. Well, thanks, Erica. I can't wait to taste the cake later. I'm making dough for my mini party pizzas. I hope this experiment works too. Check this out. I let this dough sit for a few hours, and now it's double the size of this one. It's because I put yeast in the dough. And yeast makes things like pizza dough and bread rise. But I'm kind of wondering the same thing as Max.
If yeast expands in bread, can it expand in your body?
Me big! Me full of yeast!
That's scary, but I know someone who can answer the question. He's got all the info on how yeast makes things grow. Please welcome my very special guest, Shakib Rahman.
Hi, Zoe.
Shakib!
I ate bread with way too much yeast in it.
Wait, what?
Kidding!
So, Shakib, what exactly is yeast?
It's a living thing, like a plant or an animal. Yeast is a kind of fungus that eats sugar and starch. When it's activated by heat, the yeast eats the sugar and basically farts out carbon dioxide gas. That's what creates the little pockets of air in the dough that make it expand. But the yeast eventually dies from the heat of baking. Also, the acid in our stomach is so strong that it ends up killing the yeast before it can fart out any carbon dioxide. That's why if you eat any bread, you don't get all gassy afterwards.
Phew. But what's the difference between yeast and baking soda we use in our cakes?
Baking soda produces a chemical reaction. It's very, very fast.
Oh, so that's why Erica said to put the cake batter in the oven right away after we added the baking soda.
Yeah, that's right. You had to get those air bubbles trapped in the cake before they escaped. Yeast, unlike baking soda, is a living thing. It produces its carbon dioxide very, very slowly.
So that's why my pizza dough didn't rise so fast.
Exactly. Do you want to try another experiment where we can make some chemicals rise?
Yeah.
I've got exploding elephant toothpaste here.
Cool.
We're using chemicals, and this experiment is going to create a lot of heat.
Safety goggles, safety gloves, check.
The first thing I'm gonna do is add some hydrogen peroxide in. So you have to be very careful with this stuff, which is why we have our safety gear on. Excellent. Do you want to add the dish soap for me, Zoe?
1, 2, 3.
I'm gonna add blue food coloring here. Now you've got to add the last ingredient, Special Chemical X potassium iodide.
Whoa!
Can you see all the steam coming out of there, Zoe?
Yeah, I do.
Our hydrogen peroxide turned into water, which turned into steam because of all of the heat we're generating, and it also turned into oxygen. And our oxygen got trapped by all of the dish soap, which is why we have all of this nice foamy mess here.
That's so cool. It really does look like a giant tube of toothpaste that an elephant would use.
That's right, but don't try this at home without an adult's help.
That reminds me of another question I got from Leah.
What's an easy experiment I can make in my kitchen to make things puff up?
Well, Leah, some of my friends did a little bit of experimenting. The experiment! Hi, Adriana. Hi, Jonah.
Hi.
Are you going to amaze me with a puffy experiment?
Yeah, we will. We have our bottle ready for the experiment. I'm gonna put the funnel in. And then I'm gonna put some baking soda inside of the bottle. Just gotta make sure it all goes down. Next, I'm gonna put some vinegar in the bottle.
I gotta be ready with the glove because I gotta get it on super quick. Check that out. It's like a ghost hand. A ghost hand? Cool. The chemical reaction between the baking soda and the vinegar created bubbles of carbon dioxide gas that are blowing up the glove. Let's compare with the next experiment. This one uses yeast with sugar and water.
Let's begin. Put the funnel in. Now we do the water. Next, I'm going to add the sugar. Now I'm going to add the yeast. And now, shake it. Now let's get the balloon on.
Nothing's puffing up yet. This experiment with yeast is much slower.
Now we wait.
Wow, it's just like when yeast farts out gas and makes bread puff up.
The yeast is eating up all the sugar, and it keeps farting out gas.
It took 10 minutes to puff up, but it was worth the wait. Thanks for the cool experiments.
Bye, Zoe.
I waited for yeast to blow up all my party balloons, I would have to wait a while. I'm gonna turn this place into Party Central. Hey, speaking of transforming something, Leah had another question about experiments you can do in your kitchen.
Could you turn food into something completely different?
Great question, Leah. Shakib has a magic experiment up his sleeve. Go ahead, Shakib.
That's right, Zoe. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some potatoes and turn them into a really cool experiment. The first thing I had to do was I had to take my potatoes, cut them up, and then boil them in water, and then get rid of the water, so I ended up with my potato starch. Now, if you don't have an adult to help you, you can just go to the store and get potato starch from there. The next thing we have to do is take this potato starch, combine it with some tonic water. Mixing a little bit of this tonic water with the potato starch will give us the start of our cool experiment. Now, because this is a little bit messy, I'm gonna put on some gloves and mix this all together. It does this weird thing. It starts to form a solid. But that solid, when I let go of it, starts to flow like a liquid. This is something we call a non-Newtonian fluid. If I squeeze it hard again, you can see that it forms a solid, but by letting go of the pressure, we get a nice liquid that starts to flow again. Here's the magic part. If I turn off the light, something really cool happens. Using a black light, which gives off ultraviolet light, you can see that our potato goo now glows in the dark. The reason for that is the tonic water that we added earlier has a special chemical in it. It's called quinine. Quinine is something that glows when you put it in ultraviolet light. And that's our magic mud experiment.
Wow, that magic mud can't decide if it wants to be solid or liquid. It's crazy it could be both. And that gives me an idea for...
My Great Challenge!
On Team Solid, we have Daniel and Lex.
Whoa!
And on Team Liquid, we have Veronica and Fabiola. In today's challenge, you're actually gonna be both liquid and solid. Well, the magic mud you're going to be using is both. In each pot, I filled it with a bunch of items that have to do with cake. The team with the most items at the end of the challenge wins. Go!
It's a pretty sticky challenge.
Team Liquid has 2. Team Solid has 1 right now. Team Liquid is in the lead at 3. Team Solid has 2. Oh, Team Solid's catching up.
I got 1.
Team Liquid has 5. Team Solid has 4. 5. Team Liquid has 6. Oh!
Team Solid has to keep digging if they want to catch up.
They're trying to go fast, but it doesn't work
Because that magic mud gets really hard.
Team Solid has 8. Team Solid's in the lead right now, guys. And they're at 9. Go, go, go.
Oh, Team Liquid back on top.
That was fast.
There we go. Okay, time's up. You guys have 12, and Team Solid, you guys have 11. So that means we have a winner. Team Liquid, you win. Good job, guys.
Good job, guys.
Thanks.
So what was the stickiest part?
The magic mud. Because you think you have an object, but you really don't. The stickiest part is that I can't get my hands out.
Well, thanks, guys, for being on my show.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Do I bring this box with me? It's stuck
If you
to
have to.
me. Stuck to me like cement.
That was awesome. And it made me dream about birthday cake and a big glass of... Oh-wee! This milk went bad. Ugh. It's like it's an experiment on its own. Ugh. That reminds me of a question I got from Anastasia.
Why does the milk get disgusting and chunky when you leave it on the counter for a long time?
She'll tell us why it gets lumpy, because bad milk sure makes us grumpy. Please welcome bacteria investigator Maya Hay.
Hey, Zoe.
Hi, Maya.
I brought you some food.
Food.
Yum. Do you see how the food is starting to change color and that there's some slime and fuzz developing on top?
Yeah.
That's because the food is starting to break down from bacteria. And the same thing happens with the milk. When milk breaks down, it gets clumpy like this.
That's gross.
Bacteria is in all foods. It's everywhere, actually, so this is totally normal. The bacteria take the natural sugars that are in milk and they make waste. But that bacteria poop is really acidic, and that reacts with the milk. When the milk starts to break down, it starts to get clumpy, and it curdles, just like that. Now, check this out. I have some of this bacteria that I grew on a Petri plate. Do you see any on this?
No.
That's because I only put it on this morning, so they haven't had a chance to grow yet. But check this out. Do you see any there?
Yeah.
So, how many do you think are in that Petri plate?
500?
Keep going.
10,000?
Keep going.
A million?
There are billions in this tiny Petri plate.
Billions? That's like the entire population of the world! Imagine that in a glass of milk!
You're gonna make my head explode!
Slow your roll, bacteria. I found out there's a way to do that. Bacteria move a lot more slowly in a cold place, so they don't multiply into billions as fast. That's why keeping milk and food in the fridge makes it last longer.
There's another way to preserve milk, and that's to use the help of bacteria. Here's what we're gonna do. This is some milk. And then what I want you to do is add this starter culture. It's basically a special mix of bacteria. I want you to add 2 tablespoons to it.
So these are good bacteria, not the kind that can make you sick?
Exactly.
2.
Great, now give it a mix.
What happens when we mix it?
So what mixing it does is it introduces the bacteria to all of those sugars, and then when you wait 12 to 18 hours later, it's gonna turn into yogurt like this.
That's crazy! So how does it do that?
It's called fermentation. Basically, the bacteria took the milk sugars and made it into an acid, and that acid reacted with the milk, and it thickened it just like this. Do you wanna try?
Yeah! Thanks. Now that's delicious. Thanks, Maya.
You're welcome.
It's pretty amazing there's good bacteria that we can use to make food, and then there's bad bacteria that can make us sick. There was a time when people weren't so sure what caused sickness.
Flat Earth Corner!
The evil wind is blowing. I must not breathe in the vapor. It will strike me down with the deadly cholera, poisonous wind, and disgusting smell. Why must you curse us with your evil stink? I cannot catch the disease. I must not breathe in the wind. Catching a deadly disease from the wind? About 200 years ago, that's what people thought. In 19th century England, there was a huge outbreak of a deadly disease called cholera. A whole lot of people died from it because it couldn't be controlled. Back then, they thought it was caused by mysterious clouds of air filled with bits of rotting things and smelling gases. But a doctor named John Snow found something out. He discovered that city drinking water from some of the pumps were dirty and infected. They didn't have good sewers like we have today. So it wasn't because of something they were breathing, it was because of something they were drinking. I'm glad we know so much about bacteria today. I'm also glad I didn't drink that spoiled milk before. Oh yeah, party time is getting closer. My friends and I love chicken wings, so these will be a big hit. Oh, that reminds me.
Uh-oh, do try this at home.
I put this chicken bone in some vinegar about a week ago. Check this out. You have to rinse it off and watch. A rubber chicken bone! The vinegar dissolves a mineral called calcium, which is what makes bones hard. Without the calcium, what's left is just this soft bone. Hi, guys! Hi! Wow, our cake looks delicious. It was definitely a successful experiment. I think I'm ready to answer the question that started off the show.
What type of experiments can you do in your kitchen?
Well, Maya, the big answer is, drum roll please, there is no limit. Today we did experiments that used all different kinds of science, like chemistry, physics, and biology. Using kitchen ingredients, some of them were even good to eat. You can do tons of kitchen experiments with really basic stuff. The kitchen is our lab and we're the scientists. But here's my favorite kitchen experiment. Let's find out if the cake is delicious. Yeah! This is good.
I love experiments.
Hope I didn't scare you. This is a moose collar, and that moo was a moose call. I'm using it because today I'm going into the woods to explore a place that I've had a lot of questions about, including this one.
Do we need forests?
Well, Julia, I don't actually know. I mean, it seems like a nice place, but do we really need forests? What do you think?
I don't know.
By the end of the show, I'll have the answer. Meanwhile, here's a question from Alessandro.
Is it bad to cut down trees in the forest?
The Flat Earth Corner! Is it bad to cut down trees in the forest? Of course not. Look how many there are. If I cut down trees forever, there would still be a lot more. Hey, where'd all the trees go? People used to think that forests were endless, and they could cut down as many trees as they wanted. And there were a lot of forests. I checked, and scientists think that at one time, forests covered this much of the world. But because of people cutting down trees, the forest now only covers this much of the world. I found out that without forests, wild animals have no place to live. Nowadays, they even go into neighborhoods where people live. Animals definitely need forests for their home. And Amanda had a question about that.
How many kinds of living things are in the forest?
Living things like birds, mammals, amphibians, reptiles, insects, microbes, big living things, tiny living things, things that eat plants, things that eat the things that eat plants. And there are plants too. Head getting warm. Brain trying to imagine all those creatures. Must be hundreds. No thousands. No tens of thousands. Reaching overload! Ah! You're gonna make my head explode! They're still discovering new species all the time, and no one knows how many kinds of living things are in the forest, but they all need to eat. And we're going to meet some of them right now. She knows about animals that live in the forest. She's bringing some in now, and I know that they won't bore us. Here's Jennifer Sierra.
Hi.
Hi. This doesn't eat people, does it?
No, absolutely not. Don't worry. This is actually an American kestrel, and her name is Sapphira.
Where does she live?
Well, this is a type of bird that lives in open fields and meadows, often close to forests. So forests are a little bit like a refrigerator whereby sometimes the mice and the insects all come out. And when she can spot them, oh, she's in seventh heaven. That's the way she can find all sorts of yummy food to eat.
So what do you guys feed her?
Well, at the Eco Museum Zoo, we feed her mice and we sometimes feed her little birds because that's sometimes what they'll be eating in the wild as well. Would you like me to go and get some more?
Sure.
Excellent.
Wow, what kind of snake is that?
This is what we call a black rat snake. Sometimes people refer to them as gray rat snakes. It loves to climb up into trees. I know it's hard to believe considering it doesn't have any arms or legs, but these guys can actually climb very easily.
Does it bite?
They can bite. Would you still like to touch?
Sure. Whoa, that's like scaly. That's funny.
Those are all scales. They have them all over their bodies.
Wow, this frog is huge.
It's actually what we call a bullfrog because this is a large type of frog, just like bulls are pretty large.
So why is it good for them to live in the forest?
In the forest where they live, as long as it's near water, they'll be able to find all sorts of insects and all sorts of little mice to eat, and that's what they love. They can eat fish that are found in the water, as well as a mammal that flies at night. Bat.
Seriously?
Oh yeah. And you want to know how they eat the bat?
How?
Well, they have to launch towards it with their bodies, their mouths open, their tongues sticking out like this. Whoa. They catch the bat in their mouths with their teeth, it keeps them in place, and then they push it down with their hands, the muscles in their throat. They have to bring their eyes inside their heads and push the food right down their throat.
That's so cool.
This is what we call an opossum, and this is from the marsupial group, so it's the same group as koalas and kangaroos.
What does she eat?
She can eat a little bit of everything, actually. She's rather omnivorous, so she can eat fruits, she can eat seeds and nuts, she can even eat other types of animals, like insects, mice. So you can see, if, like the forest floor, she's trying to push all the leaves around, all the pieces of wood, and she's trying to find all sorts of fruits that might have fallen from trees and insects that are hidden under all these branches, just like she'd be doing in the forest.
Thanks for being on my show and helping me find stuff out.
Thanks for having us.
Here's another question from Joseph.
Are all forests the same?
To answer that question, I've come to meet an expert on Vancouver Island that has some of the most beautiful forests on Earth. Knows about the trees and all the forest things she sees. Here's Julie Fortes! Yeah!
So I brought you this little fir seedling. And one day, this little seedling is going to be a huge part of this big forest.
How tall could it grow?
Douglas firs can grow up to 60 meters tall and have really wide trunks.
Wow.
So the kind of forest it would live in is a forest like around here. It's a temperate rainforest. The kinds of trees we would find here are especially the Douglas fir, but also things like this arbutus right behind us. The arbutus is a very interesting tree because it sheds its bark in the summer instead of shedding its leaves in the fall.
What other kind of forests are there?
There are tropical rainforests.
Like the jungle in the Amazon?
Yeah. There are temperate rainforests, which is like the one that we're in right now. There are boreal forests further north. And there is this really cool thing called cloud forests, which are forests that kind of sweat, and then they create their own clouds.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Why aren't all forests the same? Like, why isn't a forest like the jungle?
Not all forests are the same because trees need three things to grow. They need light or energy, they need water, and they need nutrients. Light, water, and nutrients aren't spread out the same around the globe. For example, in the desert, there isn't enough water to grow forests.
What about in the Arctic? Here's a question from Neil, who lives there, way up north.
I live in Igloo. Why aren't there forests here?
You won't find forests up north in the Arctic Circle because it's just too cold for trees to grow.
Speaking of trees and forests, who's in the mood for a little experiment? The experiment! Did you know you can tell how old a tree is by counting its rings? Not these kind. Not those kind of rings either. These kind. I asked my friend Kashvi and Noah to count some rings. In the spring, trees grow very quickly, slow down in the fall, and then stop in the winter. This creates a tree ring every year.
I think mine's about 23 years old.
I think mine's about 37.
Wow. But that's so small.
Yeah, and that one's big. I wonder why this one's older, but it's smaller.
Well, I found out it's because trees are just like people. They grow in all different sizes. It also depends on where the trees are growing. Rings tell you a lot about climate change, like if the tree had enough water or how hot or cold it was that year. A wide ring means a tree had what it needed to grow, but a skinny ring means it may have had a tough year. So because rings are not all the same, they're tricky to count.
I think this tree was born in 1932.
That's like when my great-grandmother was born.
Well, mine was born in 1894.
That's like when my great-great-great-great-grandmother was born. That seems pretty old, but I found out that some trees have thousands of rings. The oldest is not that big, but it's still 5,000 years old. That's 5,000 rings. Imagine counting that.
My tree is 120 years old.
Mine's 84 years old.
Bye, Zoe.
Bye.
Thanks, Kashvi and Noah.
Now here's a question from Andrew!
What do we get from the forest?
Off the top of my head, I know that we get wood for houses like this. And we get paper from trees in the forest. Try living without toilet paper. Thank you for that one, forests. I checked, and there are lots of other things that we get from forests. And that's the subject for today's My Great Challenge! Today's challengers are Aiden and Tristan. Yeah! Justin and Sterling. Yeah! So Aiden and Tristan, your team oak. Justin and Sterling, your team pine. You see those items on the table, right? Yeah. Your challenge is to pick up what you think is made from things from the forest. The team that guesses the most correctly and the least incorrectly wins. Let's pull branches, to decide who goes first. And Team Pine wins, so you guys go first. But wait till I blow my super moose signal. 3, 2, 1.
Time to move.
I think we should pick the hockey stick. Yeah, it's made out of wood. It's a good idea. What about paper is made out of trees, right?
I don't. Yeah.
So we should maybe take that.
Yeah.
We should take maple syrup. It's made in springtime from trees.
Should we take the birdhouse? It's made from wood.
What about this mask-looking thing?
Yeah, it looks like it's made of wood. What about this book? It's made from paper, so it's probably from trees.
Yeah. What about this toilet paper? The paper is made from trees.
Yeah. Now can we try the electric guitar?
Yeah, maybe.
The rocks are natural.
I think that's cool.
It's still natural. Let's take it.
Oh, yeah, it's true. We should take that. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is. Is it butter? We should probably take it.
Oh, paper. Yeah, paper. Maybe take that T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, this box. Maybe this bouncy ball.
Maybe.
So just take ping pong balls. There's nothing else we can really pick.
Both teams are done. They did not pick the rubber boots, plastic container, or the rubber tire. Are you sure everything on your table comes from the forest?
No.
I forgot to mention, you lose a point for every wrong answer. I'll give you one chance to put everything back that you don't think comes from the forest.
Back the guitar.
Yeah.
Maybe you should put that
Butter. And what about this ball?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, these ping pong balls.
Or plastic.
Yeah, and they're ping pong-ish.
Okay, Team Oak, you have 6 items that you thought came from the forest. Team Pine, you have 9 items that you thought came from the forest. So the good news is, everything that you put on your table came from the forest.
Yes.
But the bad news is, everything that you put down or didn't pick up also came from the forest. Aww. It was probably easier to figure out stuff like paper, maple syrup, or the hockey stick. But I found out that ping pong balls and fabrics can be made from tiny fibers from plants and trees, just like paper. Margarine can be made from palm tree oil. Rubber balls and ties are made with the help of rubber trees. That plastic container is made from oil. And just like coal, it's a leftover of forests that grew hundreds of millions of years ago. So, what are you guys most surprised about?
The ping pong balls and the guitar. Yeah, the guitar.
Yep, it's made of wood, but it's painted and varnished. Well, thanks for being on my show and doing the challenge.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Now I'm going back to the forest to see what else comes from there. I have a few guests who know the forest really well. This is Natanis and her family. This is Shia. This is Sequitin. And this is Hallie, and that's Santana. They are members of the New Chinook First Nations, and they live here in a forest on Vancouver Island. Natanis, why is nature so important to your culture?
Forest was everything to us. Instead of going to a grocery store, we would get all our food from here. Everything that we used to stay alive, our shelter, our food, or even our clothing. And sometimes we don't even notice the smallest little things was used for everything. Say what you're sitting on, Zoe. This is called sphagamos. And sphagamos was picked, and then all the sticks were taken out and to make it really soft, and they were used as diapers.
Wow.
It was the very first disposable diaper, and it was actually good for the environment. Shia brought you a basket.
Wow, it's so beautiful. Thank you. I can't believe it's made of the forest. I'm so excited. This is a salmon. Wow, that tastes delicious.
This is an indigenous blackberry. It's like a little vine that grows. And the young girls used to like taking it here, and you would make a little hair ornament, and the girls would wear it and decorate their hair. You'd spend all day out here, and you'd be singing songs, and you'd be singing to the trees, and you'll also be letting the bears know that I'm here.
We're out in the middle of the woods looking for plants and berries, so we have to sing a song to let the bears know that we're here. Bears hate surprises. If you surprise a bear, he might think you're threatening him, and he could attack to protect himself. Singing lets him know that you're coming and don't mean any harm. Bears like to be alone, and usually they'd much rather be out of your way.
All around us, right in this one little area, we have all different kinds of medicine and food. So everywhere you walked, there was something that we used. Cedar was the most used tool of the coastal people. Huge canoes would be made out of this, and they would be pounded into very fine fiber, and they would be made into clothes.
I never thought that you can use so much things in the forest. Thanks for being on my show.
You're welcome, Zoe.
I think we're getting closer to answering if we need forests. Animals for sure need forests. And we need a lot of stuff we get from forests. But are they good for anything else? I think I have time for a couple more questions.
How do forest fires start?
I checked, and I found something out super surprising. Fires are a natural part of the forest life cycle.
Lightning causes lots of forest fires, but experts say that can actually help trees. Forest fires are as important to the forest as the sun and the rain. Some trees, like these giant sequoias, depend on fires to reproduce. Their cones need heat to open and release their seeds. Ashes make great tree food, and more sunshine gets through, helping new bushes and trees grow a lot better. This is good for animals looking for food, but some fires can be really bad. Hey, where did everybody go? It's bad for forests when fires get out of control. Most forest fires are caused by one living creature. Can you guess which one? Nope. It's this creature, humans! When you're finished toasting your marshmallow, make sure the campfire is out. Here's a question from Pierce.
Does the weather change because of forests?
I did a little research, and to answer that question, I've made an animation. Forests affect the weather and climate in a lot of ways. First, they draw a gas called carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas that heats up the atmosphere. So having forests help keep the Earth's temperature from getting super hot. And forests create shade, keeping things cool beneath their leaves. Their root systems absorb water, which helps prevent flooding.
Cool.
Without trees to soak up water, rivers could flood more easily and deserts could spread because the water runs away instead of being stored in the trees.
Aww.
Don't you breathe easier knowing that forests are taking care of us? Hey, that gives me an idea for... Uh-oh, do try this at home. Here's something super easy, but I bet a lot of you don't do this. Next time you're in the woods, take deep breaths of fresh air. I found out that some scientists say that just being in the woods can make us healthier and happier. What do you think?
Ask a friend.
I really like being around trees.
Makes me feel like I could do anything I want because there's so much space.
I would like to play in it, but I would stay there forever.
You can hike and it makes you feel sporty.
I like a lot of things about the forest. There are a little relaxing noise in the forest of like
birds, water.
It relaxes you.
I like climbing trees.
I feel happy, excited, and alive.
So if you're ever camping or in the park with lots of trees, try it out. Listen to the sounds of the birds and the wind in the leaves. Take a deep breath of freshly made oxygen and smell the soil in the plants.
It just might make you feel better and healthier. And that takes us back to the question that started it all. Do we need forests? Well, Julia, the big answer is... yes. And I wrote a song inspired by your question. The forests are a swinging place for monkeys, moose, and bats. Bears, raccoons, wolves, and weasels, it's their habitat. Tigers, bugs, gorilla snakes, orangutans, and bees. The world looks different when you see the forest for the trees. Wood for houses and for warmth, chairs and piano keys. Toilet paper, cardboard boxes, and tissue when we sneeze. Achoo! Medicine and furniture and oxygen to breathe. The world looks different when you see the forest for the trees. That's my show for today. See you next time for more Finding Stuff Out. I think I'll hug a tree. Ow, you're prickly. Maybe I'd be better off hugging a moose. Moo! Moo!
Welcome to Finding Stuff Out, the show where you send in your questions and I find out the answers. Here's the first question. Oops, sorry about that. Here's the first question. It's from... This is embarrassing. My mom's making my favorite meal tonight, lasagna. I know you can't smell it, but I can, and it's driving me crazy. Would you let me finish? Here's the first question from Yayata.
Why do we have to eat?
The short answer is...
Harrison, dinner will be ready in 20 minutes.
Because our parents say we have to? Okay, Mom. But I guess that's not the answer that you're looking for, or the one that Sora is looking for.
How long can you go without eating?
Maybe it depends on whether it's nothing or this, a sardine sundae. Okay, I don't know why we eat or how long we can go without eating, but by the end of the show, I'll find out the answer to those questions and other stuff about food and nutrition, like...
Why do we have a tongue?
Well, I know that we need it for speaking, and it's useful for sealing envelopes. Speaking of tongues, that reminds me of a really fun test you can do. Try sticking out your tongue and touching your nose at the same time. If you can do it, that means you're really smart. Try it now.
These guys can do it.
Are you doing it? Were you able to do it? Here, watch me. I bet you didn't see that coming. Anyway, I checked, and besides helping us speak, lick envelopes, and make jokes, our tongue is an important part of how we and other creatures eat.
For some animals, especially ones that don't have hands, their tongues let them hang onto their food. And it works for us, too. Our tongues are covered in tiny nubbly thingies that scientists call papillae. They help us grip our food.
Some of those papillae contain taste buds, which can sense different tastes, such as sweet, salty, bitter, or sour. That leads to our next question.
Why do girls have more taste buds than boys?
La la la, la la la. Duh, girls have more taste buds than boys do, so I can enjoy this lovely lollipop more than a boy can.
Who says girls have more taste buds? I think boys do.
Oh, yeah?
Actually, they're both wrong. There was a recent study done in Denmark. That's the country where Vikings came from long ago. And it shows that there's no real difference in the number of taste buds that boys and girls have. But there is a difference in the way boys and girls taste.
Boys and girls both taste good to me. Excuse me.
I didn't mean as in eating boys and girls. I meant how boys and girls judge taste differently than each other. Hey, what's he doing here? Get your own show.
Yeah!
Now, where was I? Oh, right.
Girls can taste both sweet and sour better than boys can. So a lemon would taste more sour to a girl, but an ice cream cone would taste sweeter.
Tasty.
Need some sweetening. Much better. And speaking of taste, here's a question from Justin.
Why does junk food taste so good?
Interesting question. Oh, the sacrifices I make for science.
Person?
Yes, Mom?
Don't spoil your appetite.
Okay, Mom. How do parents know what you're thinking of doing before you even think it? That's a good question for finding stuff out. As for junk food,
the reason it tastes so good is because of all the salt, sugar, and fat they put in it. This calls for a dietitian.
She knows about the things we eat, the ones that are salty and the ones that are sweet. Here's Joelle Imon. Oh, junk food, my favorite.
And yes, it's all junk.
Why is junk food called junk food?
Junk food, well, if you think of the word junk, what comes to your mind?
Garbage or like just junk,
something
you know?
useless,
Yeah,
right?
something useless.
Well, that's the same for junk food. It means it brings to your body nothing useful. Let's say you take that donut, for example.
Right.
A donut like this contains about 1 teaspoon of fat and 8 sugar cubes. All that plate is the amount you need in a day.
So we're only supposed to eat this much fat and sugar in a day.
Yeah, so a donut would be like a quarter of your needs in sugar. So that's a lot.
What about a muffin? It's similar to a donut in some ways. Is that healthier?
You're in for a big surprise. If it's a commercial muffin, let's say, it's actually almost 2 donuts, sometimes more.
What?
Yeah.
That's
it's really hard to
crazy.
tell just by looking at the food. I'll make a comparison with healthy food for you.
Okay.
If you take those 7 strawberries, you have enough vitamin C that you need in a day to keep your teeth and gums healthy. You get only 2 sugar cubes.
And how much fat?
None.
No fat?
Surprise, no fat.
Wow. So potato chips are my favorite junk food. So how do those compare to the strawberries?
To get exactly the same amount of vitamin C from potato chips, you would need to eat 6 small bags. They actually contain 27 teaspoons of fat and all that sugar.
That's a big bag of potato chips.
It's more than what you need in a day.
Well, I guess I should lay off the potato chips a bit then.
Yeah, that's what junk food is.
So how do kids know what is good to eat and what is bad?
The food companies, they put food labels on the package.
Right.
So you get to know how much fat and how much sugar and how much of the other nutrients that there is in the food.
Well, thanks for helping me out with all this junk food stuff.
It was a pleasure.
Will you come back for my great challenge?
Sure.
Well, now I know why they call it junk food. But to find out why that bad stuff tastes so good, I'm here at Nova Taste, where they make flavors for all kinds of food and drinks. And this is Dr. Luke Haffenden, who's a food scientist.
Hi, Harrison.
Hi. Sounds like a cool job. Can you launch bacon into outer space?
Of course not, but we can make about anything taste like bacon. You can make a bacon beverage, bacon bubblegum, bacon candy, bacon cookies, even come up with a bacon perfume. Here, try this. It's bacon-flavored popcorn.
It does taste like real bacon.
So junk food has a lot of fat, sugar, and salt in it. But did you know food companies add flavors to make it taste better?
Wow, are all of these flavors?
Yes, they are. There's millions of different flavors that we can come up with because there's about 13,000 ingredients that we can use. Here, have a smell.
Root beer. Here, you can smell it too.
All flavors are made with chemicals.
Oh, this is good. This smells like bubble gum.
In natural flavors, those chemicals come from plants or animals.
This is an ingredient that's found in coffee. We actually use it to make coffee flavors, but it's interesting to know that it's also found in skunk spray.
It's terrible. In artificial flavors, scientists make the chemicals in a lab, often from things we don't normally eat, like petroleum or wood. Oh, oh my gosh, what is that?
That's an onion essential oil.
That is so bad. Food scientists are also starting to use the flavors they create to make junk foods, well, less junky for you. That's pineapple.
We're gonna make you taste 2 grape beverages. One has a lot less sugar than the other.
Okay.
Can you tell the difference?
Good. This one has less sugar.
No.
No, this one has less sugar?
Absolutely.
They both tasted exactly the same.
Exactly. Here, have one.
Okay. These are good.
Well, what you're tasting here is a peanut butter and chocolate cupcake where we've actually not even used any peanuts because we're not allowed to have peanuts here. There's 50% of the cocoa that's been removed and 50% of the sugar.
Wow. Because of the flavors they added, they were able to use less sugar and fat. And the cupcakes still taste yummy. So now it's time to test out some kids with this healthy grape drink, this horribly smelly onion drink, and this weird potato chip drink that I'm making. Let's get some. Street Smarts. Well, now it's time for the taste test. Yeah! And they'll be doing it one by one. Okay, let's try number 1 first.
Grape. Grape. Bubble gum.
Grape.
Grape. It tastes like grape.
Okay, now let's move on to number 2.
Water. 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 It's just water.
Water?
And let's move on to number 3.
It's disgusting. It tastes like fish.
Weird taste.
Chicken mixed with milk.
Squish Brussels sprouts.
So, how can you explain these results?
First of all, when you look at the potato chip drink, it's not a flavor that you would typically associate with a beverage.
Yeah.
So there was no one that was expecting it, and that's more or less why people were only picking out the salt and the fatty flavors, and they couldn't really put their finger on it, or their nose. And for the second example, which was the onion drink, well, as soon as you opened up the bottle, the aroma came out and filled the room.
Right.
And since taste is 90% smell,
Okay.
your nose was saturated with that onion smell, so you couldn't really taste it properly.
Right.
As for the grape beverage,
Right.
grape tends to be one of the most popular flavors for kids.
Yeah.
So that's why, even though there was no purple color, a lot of the kids were able to pick it out properly. And it was a healthy version. And I'm glad that, just like you, the kids liked it.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking me on this smelly experience.
Well, it can get smellier, so anytime.
How do we know we're hungry?
That question is just eating away at me. And that gives me a good idea for cooking up today's special. Uh-oh. Do try this at home. Watch the screen carefully and listen too. Ready? Is your mouth watering? That's one of the body's ways of preparing us to eat, because the saliva helps break down our food. But guess what? It's a trick. If you salivated, it's because the sounds and pictures triggered a pleasure center in your brain. Dogs salivate when they see food. As an experiment, a scientist named Pavlov rang a bell every time he fed dogs in his research lab. The dogs got so used to hearing a bell ring every time they got fed that eventually Pavlov could make the dogs drool just by ringing the bell without giving them any food. That's why restaurant commercials can make us feel like we want food even when we're not hungry.
Why does my stomach grumble?
Well, Gigi, I found out that our stomachs always rumble. It's the sound of our muscles in our digestive system, contracting or squeezing. It's just that if there's food down there, it muffles the sound so you can't hear it. But if your stomach is empty,
you can hear it. But some people didn't always think we need food down there.
What is the food of the future?
the Flat Earth Corner! We, food scientists of the past, are making the food of the future. That's why I'm wearing this futuristic outfit, because by the year 2000, everybody will dress like this.
And here's what they'll be eating. Future food will be highly processed. Better in every way than silly, old-fashioned food.
Ugh, who needs apples or bananas or carrots or cereal or mangoes or bread? Ugh, that's for the garbage. In the future, who but a raccoon would want that? When we've got these food pills. Just one of these 3 times a day will supply you with all the nutrition you need. No more inconvenient toast, time-consuming cheese, or pesky vegetables. By not having to eat, you'll have lots more time to do more important things. Like your homework. Sounds good, doesn't it? Over 100 years ago, some food scientists thought that we could just take pills full of nutrients and not have to eat actual food at all. But nowadays, we know that the human body wasn't designed to just live on nutrient pills. Yum, yum. Would you like some lukewarm simulated chicken?
We have a huge digestive system inside us. We need bulk and fiber to keep our insides healthy.
Stuff like this. And anyway, food tastes good, so the food of the future will probably be a lot like the food of today. Speaking of digesting, here's a question from Priscilla.
What happens to your food after you eat it?
First of all, there's a bunch of tubes inside you that process your food. They're called intestines. They're about this big. And guess what? There's this much inside of you. And what your body does with it is incredible.
What happens to our food? Well, if it tastes good, first we chew, then we swallow. Down to our stomach, where it's hollow. Enzymes there, break it down. When they're done, it gets passed around to the small intestine, 7 meters long, takes nutrients out to make us strong. The large intestine absorbs the water, just like a giant paper blotter. And that, my peeps, is the scoop. And what we can't use turns into poop. Yeah, what we can't use turns into poop.
My Great Challenge! Today, my challengers are Genevieve.
Hey.
And Kyle.
Yeah.
And I've also brought back my expert dietitian, Joelle.
Yay!
So, Genevieve, what is your favorite lunch?
My favorite lunch is green cheese sandwich, corn chip with salsa, apple juice, and chocolate cake.
And Kyle, what is your favorite lunch?
Bacon and sausage pizza with peppermint ice cream and vanilla smoothie.
So today's challenge is to guess how much lard and how much sugar is in your favorite lunches. So are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Go. Al just goes right in and grabs a handful. Hal's done. Okay, so now it's time to get your results. Genevieve, what are yours?
9 fat and 30 sugar.
Your meal actually contains 8 teaspoons of fat and about 31 sugar cubes.
So you're very
close.
Wow.
Congratulations.
And Kyle, what are your results?
5 fat, 42 sugar.
So for this meal, it should actually be 10 fat, so it's double amount that you guessed, and 21 sugar cubes.
Looks like Genevieve was closer on this one.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Genevieve might have won this round, but both of their meals were losers. Remember, this is the most fat and sugar you're supposed to have in one day. Genevieve's favorite meal by itself contains half the fat and nearly all the sugar. Kyle is not doing much better with his lunch. It contains 2/3 of the fat and sugar he needs in a single day.
Wow, well that's
impressive.
That is a lot.
Kyle, how about going from this to this? Instead of your fatty and sugary lunch, you could enjoy a pizza pita pocket with veggies and cheese, a soy beverage, and half a cup of chocolate frozen yogurt.
You like it?
Yeah.
Yay.
And Genevieve, How about going from this to this? Forget all that sugar and fat and check out this makeover lunch. A grilled cheese sandwich stuffed with salsa, fruits, veggies, almonds, and even some chocolate chips with a small apple juice.
Does it look good?
Yeah.
It looks good, eh?
It looks
Now you're
amazing.
staring at it.
So next one we'll be doing is a fast food meal.
Go! Okay, Genevieve, what do you have?
Have 10 fat and 25 sugar.
Kyle, how did you do?
9 fat, 27 sugar.
It actually contains 11 teaspoons of fat and 49 sugar cubes.
Wow.
And that's why we tend to gain weight whenever we go too often to fast food restaurants. So Kyle, you were closer on the sugar and Genevieve was closer on the fat. So it's a tie for this round. All right, so next one we'll be doing is a snack. It's a yogurt strawberry granola bar and a strawberry kiwi cocktail. And go. This looks like a healthy snack, eh? What do you think?
Doesn't look bad. So, Genevieve, what do you have?
3 fat and 12 sugar.
And Kyle?
2 fat, 17 sugar.
And the winner is...
I think Kyle was a lot closer.
It's Kyle. It seems like a healthy meal, but it's full of sugar because it's processed food and cocktail juice. So it was 1 teaspoon of fat and 22 sugar cubes. It's almost all the sugar you need in a day. It's impressive, eh?
That's crazy. And the winner is nobody. It's a tie.
Oh, yeah.
Well, before you guys leave, I have a prize for you. We got carrots.
Yay.
Congratulations. Yeah. Now it's time to answer the questions that started me off on this calorie-reduced but tasty quest.
How long can you go without eating? Why do we have to eat?
The big answer is... to live. So, Yayata, we need food for our bodies to grow and repair themselves and give us energy. Without food, we just couldn't exist. And we couldn't play outside. So to answer your question, Sarah, scientists have found out that we can go without eating for 4 to 6 weeks.
Harrison, dinner's ready!
Lasagna? Yes! My favorite. Gotta go.
My dad and I were just trying to make cookies, and this happened. I was just trying to cook up an answer for Audrey.
Why does heat cook food?
It's pretty amazing if you think about it. If you add flour, eggs, sugar, butter, and some other stuff, and you put a little heat in it, you get this. But if you heat it a little bit too much, you get this. How does heat do that? Maybe your questions about hot stuff will help me answer. Blech! Yeah, this is definitely burnt. Speaking of which, here's a burning question.
Why does some stuff melt and some stuff just burn when you heat it?
Well, Tristan, to answer that, those all about hot, so ready or not, here's my special guest, Shakib Rahman.
Hey, Zoe.
Hey.
I'm all fired up to be here to help you answer some questions about why some things melt and other things burn.
Is that why you brought the biggest chocolate bar ever? Are we gonna eat it? Please tell me we're gonna eat it.
Oh, we're definitely gonna eat it.
Wait, did he say eat or heat? Ice water? I thought we were supposed to be making stuff hot.
Well, when we're talking about hot stuff, it's important to remember that heat flows from something that's hot to something that's cold. Like this pitcher of ice water.
Oh, I get it. Heat flows from something hot like my hand to something cold like this ice water.
Yeah.
Let's eat. Eat the chocolate.
Do you see what's happening, Zoe?
Yeah, it's melting.
Yeah, it's slowly starting to become a liquid.
Why?
It's because the energy from the water is getting transferred into the chocolate. Just like when you put your hand on the cold pitcher of water, the heat from your hand went into the ice water. Here, the heat from the water is going into the chocolate.
Cool. Hot.
Exactly.
Oh, it's melted. Does everything melt at the same temperature?
That's a great question. But everything doesn't really melt at the same temperature. The chocolate has melted, but the glass bowl that it's in is still a solid. Same thing with the spoon that I've got in my hand here. That's still a solid as well.
Anything will melt if you heat it enough?
Well, here's where it gets weird. Some things don't really melt when you heat them. They just burn. I've got a little wooden splint here.
Fire!
Exactly. Some things will burn, and this is called a combustion reaction, when it burns instead of melting.
By the way, don't try this at home.
Some substances will do both. Cheese is a good example of this. First it'll melt, and then it will
burn. And sometimes it feels like we're the one melting and burning. Neve had a question about that.
When it's sunny outside, why does the sun burn your feet?
Oh, it's a sunny day. I just want to play in my bare feet, in my bare feet. But oh my gosh, the sand is hot. I can't stand still, it hurts a lot. It's the sun's heat, it's burning my feet. The sun has heated up the sand, and now it's more than I can stand. It's heating my feet, it's heating my feet. Yeah, yeah, yeah! Hot! Ow! Yikes, this is really hot! Ow! Hot!
Beach sand can get really hot. But if you keep heating sand all the way up to 1,700 Celsius, hotter than lava, something amazing happens. It melts and turns into a thick liquid, like taffy. And when it cools down again, it hardens and becomes glass. But heat can also be used for destruction! Camus, we have the same question.
How does heat make something explode?
Yeah, how come stuff blows up sometimes when you heat it? Shakib did a cool experiment with Jenna and Marco.
The experiment!
Hey Zoe, we're out here trying to do our first experiment. Do you guys know how to make an explosion?
Yeah, take some fuel and light it, and it'll cause fire to make the explosion.
That's perfect. You guys know any examples of fuel that we could use?
Like gasoline?
Yeah, gasoline is a great fuel. It's actually a fuel that we use when we're creating explosions every day. Out here in the parking lot, we're surrounded by things that actually cause explosions all the time. The engine of your car has something called an internal combustion engine. And those cars cause explosions, and that explosion can do work for us. We're going to do the same thing here. Now remember kids, this is a very dangerous experiment. Please do not try this at home unless you are supervised by a professional like me. What we're going to do is take this tennis ball and launch it out of this cannon. I need you guys to take 3 large steps backwards. Good. Now what I'll do is add the fuel in. The next thing we need to do is put the tennis ball inside our cannon. Once we ignite the fuel inside the cannon, it's going to force the tennis ball to come out the end and hit that target over there.
3, 2, 1. Oh, that was amazing.
That was so cool. We use explosions for big stuff, like demolishing buildings or blasting tunnels. But if you can control explosions so only a little energy is released at a time, you can use them to make things move. Shakib has another experiment. It's called Gummy Bear Meltdown. Shakib, take it away.
First, take the special chemical that I've prepared and, very carefully, pour it into my test tube. The next thing I need to do is add some heat, and for that, I use a propane torch. This is very dangerous, so don't try these experiments at home. Once it's all melted, we can add in our last ingredient. Any last words, my fine gummied friend?
Wow. Who knew gummy bears were explosive? I'm glad they don't explode inside of me.
Well, they kind of do, actually.
What?
what happens is the energy from the gummy bear gets broken down in your body, specifically in your stomach. From there, that energy, all of the sugar in our gummy bears, gets used up to power your muscles and your body to help it move around.
Speaking of gummy bears, I got a sweet question from Amanda. When you heat sugar, how does it turn into candy? To find the answer, I went to meet candy maker Ling Gang. He makes special hard candies by hand, and they have little images and messages inside. There's little panda bears inside. How do you do that?
It's all about controlling heat. Come on, I'll show you. Today, we're gonna make some special candies that has your show logo in it.
Oh, the magnifying glass of my show. Awesome.
First, we have to mix the ingredients for the candy. Take the water, pour it into the pot. Now, pour these 2 bowls of sugar.
That's a lot of sugar.
No, the sugar glucose.
It's really goopy.
Now we have to heat the ingredients. The mixture has to reach a very specific temperature, just right, to make the perfect candy.
What temperature is just right?
I can't tell you the exact temperature because that's the secret recipe.
Oh, please?
No.
Come on, tell me. Tell me the secret. Come on.
Can't tell you.
I won't tell anyone.
Sorry.
Oh, come on, just tell me.
It's a secret. But I can show you a test we do that tells you whether the sugar is ready.
Okay, that works.
We drop the mixture into cold water to see what it does. So now you can try to touch the sugar to feel its texture.
Oh, it's really soft.
This is called the softball stage. When it's soft like that, it's not hot enough for what we need. So we had to put it back on heating.
After a few more minutes of boiling the sugar solution, let's see what we get. Whoa. Hey, it's hard.
Yeah, this is the hard crack stage. You see how it bends and breaks? This is perfect for what we need.
That's amazing. Just a little change in the temperature made the sugar way different.
Now we can make our little candies with it.
Cool. First, it's time to add color. The red sugar will be the handle of the magnifying glass.
And the orange is gonna be the circle around the glass, and this is the white background. We're gonna turn this pile of yellowish goo into a snow white color by stretching it on a hook. This process adds air into the candy.
That's hard work.
Pull, 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 pull. Yes. Is it hot?
Hard to pull it.
Yeah, now it's cooling off faster and faster. See how white it turned out?
Yeah. Now that all the candy stuff is made, it's time to put the pieces together. Lin Jen uses a special heated tabletop to keep the candy soft enough to work with. Wow, so much depends on everything being exactly the right temperature.
Exactly. That way we can control the shape. The heat is our friend.
This is where Lin Jen does his magic. He puts together all the pieces that make up my show logo, then wraps them all up in white and orange candy. Look at that. By using heat, Lin Jen is able to take a huge candy chunk and make it thinner and thinner. Amazing. These are so good. Thanks for showing me how heat can make sugar so much fun and delicious.
You're welcome.
This next super hot question is from Maya.
Why is it getting warmer in the Arctic?
It turns out heat doesn't just make stuff explode, melt, and expand. It can change something much, much bigger. Bigger than my house. Bigger than my town. Bigger than a whole continent. Bigger than the entire planet. You're gonna make my head explode! Ah! My next guest knows all about it. Thomas Ribeiro won first prize at a national science fair with a project to make electricity while getting rid of something called greenhouse gases. So what are greenhouse gases?
Well, greenhouse gases are gases that can be found in the atmosphere, and they could be produced both naturally or by human activities.
Thomas tells me that when we burn fossil fuels like oil and gas for energy, greenhouse gases are released into the air. Garbage dumps and burping cows make even more of them. Because they float high up in the atmosphere and trap the sun's heat around the Earth like a warm blanket, greenhouse gases are changing our planet, causing floods, fires, and weird weather. Phew! How do the gases trap the heat?
Let me show you. These jars actually represent the Earth. Let's pour some water in both of the containers, seal them up, and zip a plastic bag around one of them shut. This plastic bag is representative of the greenhouse gases that surround our planet in the atmosphere. Now, we place it under a sunny place or bright light for about 2 hours.
So, now we wait.
Now that 2 hours have passed, let's take the temperature of the water in both the jars.
Whoa, it's warm.
Right, the plastic bag trapped the heat as the water was warming up. And the second jar represents the Earth without such a great quantity of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Let's measure the difference of temperature. (44.3 degrees Celsius. And what about the second one? 46 degrees Celsius. That's a 2 degrees Celsius difference.
That's a small difference.
Right, but a small difference can make a huge impact on our planet.
And that, Maya, is why the ice is melting in the Arctic. Thanks for telling us all about it.
No problem.
Speaking of hot stuff,
where does fire come from?
The Flat Earth Corner! Beware, searcher, ruler of fire giants. Scourger of men and earth is coming to set the entire world on fire. He will wield his massive flaming sword, and no one will be spared. No one! So get yourself a fireproof vest and a rowboat and run for your life! We're gonna die!
pretty much every ancient culture from the Vikings to the Egyptians believed in some kind of fire god or goddess. But now we know a lot more about fire and where it comes from. So I think I found the answer to your question. In nature, fires start from lightning or from hot lava spewing from volcanoes. We humans can make fire with a match or lighter, by banging special rocks together, by mixing chemicals to cause an explosion, and sparking something with electricity. Noah has a question about another way to make heat.
Why do your hands get warm when you rub them together?
Oh yeah, friction.
Ow!
Friction happens when one object rubs against another. They heat up. That gives me an idea for...
My Great Challenge!
Veronica and Kiana, your team sleeve. Chloe and Daniela, your team toque. Yeah! Today we're heating things up with friction. Shakib over here has a thermal camera, which can actually see heat.
Cool!
I think they mean hot. So your first challenge is you have 10 seconds to make as much heat as you can by rubbing your hands together. Kiana, you will start first.
10, 9.
Shakib will measure the heat that your hands transfer to this board.
5.
Push harder!
4, 3, 2, 1. 26.2.
Pretty good. Okay, Chloe, your turn.
10, 9, 8,
Faster.
7, 6,
Push him.
5, 4, 3,
Faster.
2, 1. Put your hands down. 30.7.
Okay, Chloe, you win. Yeah! 1 point for Team 2.
10,
Second challenge, rubbing sandpaper on wood.
7, 6, 5,
Push harder.
4, 3, 2, 1. 41.
Wow. Daniela, your turn.
10, 9, 8,
Faster.
7,
Come on,
6,
push harder.
5.
Look at that. In only 10 seconds, the piece of wood's room temperature is rising from 20 degrees to...
41 also.
So I guess both of you get a point. Yeah!
10, 9,
Third and final challenge, a pedal to the metal friction challenge. Friction makes so much heat that it can make a race car's tire melt right off. That's why cars need to put new ones on during a race.
3, 2, 1. 27.7.
Pretty good. Okay, Danielle, your turn.
10, 9,
Go, go, go.
8, 7,
Faster, faster.
6.
It's 2-1. Will it be a tie or will Team 2 win? They need to beat 27.7 degrees.
28.2.
That means Team 2, you win the challenge! Yeah! Thanks everybody for being on my show and helping me find stuff out about heat.
Yeah, that was hot. That's hot.
Why do we eat hot food? Good question. Why do we eat hot food? I found out that in prehistoric times, we humans ate our food raw until we figured out how to cook it over a fire.
Uh-oh.
Eating food actually changes it, so it's easier to chew and swallow. Look how different the meat is before and after it's cooked. Cooking food also kills germs called bacteria, which makes it safe to eat. And some foods like chicken should never be eaten raw because it has bacteria that can make you really sick. Ugh, I would never, ever eat a raw chicken. Ask a friend. Hey guys, what food do you think tastes better cooked than raw?
I think carrots and potatoes and meat. Meatballs.
I like cake better when it's cooked. Noodles.
Fish. Cookie dough, because when it's like raw, it doesn't really taste good, and if you eat it raw, it like hurts your stomach.
I love frozen pizza. It's the best. So I found out today that heat can do incredible things. It can make stuff expand, or melt, or boil into a gas, or change into something else, or even explode. I think I'm ready to answer the question that started my show.
Why does heat cook food?
The big answer is... it transforms our ingredients into something completely different. I found out that adding heat to food causes a chemical reaction. Heat breaks the ingredients down into a mixture of chemicals that feel good in your mouth and taste awesome. Unless you heat them too much, then they taste less awesome. Hey, I can put the candies inside of the cookies. Hey, Dad, get out your mixing bowl. I just had the greatest idea ever. Brr, it's chilly here. I've been thinking a lot about cold today because I saw a movie where scientists found a frozen caveman and brought him back to life. It made me wonder the same question as Justin.
Is it possible to freeze myself and come back to life?
Wouldn't that be cool? But it seems impossible. My frozen fish sticks aren't coming back to life, right? But I started checking, and I found something shocking. This frog was frozen solid in the winter. It was so frozen that if you were to move its legs, they would snap off. There's no way this frog could be still alive, right? But it was. When it thawed out, it was as good as new. What? That's impossible. They were frozen solid. That's almost as crazy as my fish stick coming back to life. What's all the excitement about? Some things that seem impossible are actually true.
I found out that some frogs, bugs, and even turtles can survive being frozen. But I didn't find any big animals or people that can do that. So I don't know the answer yet to Justin's question. But I promise I'll find out by the end of the show. Maybe your questions about cold will help me.
Why do you get a brain freeze when you drink something very cold?
Well, Maya, I don't know if I can freeze my body, but I know I can freeze my brain. Maybe that was unwise. How do you do that?
Hey, chill out. I'll show you.
You want to know why I cause you pain? Near the top of your mouth, there's a tube to your brain. It takes blood right up to your brain. This tube is called an artery. It's really very smartery. When your mouth is too cold, it yells cold overload, pushing warm blood to your brain, and that's what causes pain. So don't you do it again. Now that you know, you should drink me slowly. Yeah!
Is there such thing as the abominable snowman?
Well, Raphael, I know a girl who lives in the Arctic where there's a lot of snow. Let's ask her. Hi, Kylie. I'm just wondering, have you ever seen an abominable snowman?
Oh yeah, I've seen one before.
You have? What did it look like?
It was really big.
Whoa, when did you see it?
And Halloween?
Halloween?
Yeah.
Kylie tricked me. But some people really do think they've seen an abominable snowman. In the Himalayan mountains in Asia, they call it a yeti. A flat earth corner! I saw the abominable snowman with my own eyes. Buy a ticket to see for yourself. I'll guide you up the mountain if you dare. I even took a picture to prove it's real. Okay, so the picture doesn't do it justice. But for just $5, you can see the Yeti with your own eyes.
The abominable snowman, or Yeti, whatever you call it, is just a myth. People who think they've seen it probably just saw bears. But I found another explanation.
People in the mountains sometimes see shadowy figures and think it's the abominable snowman, but it's actually an optical illusion.
When you're high up in the mountains and the sun's behind you, you can see your own shadow in the clouds.
You're saying I was scared of my own shadow? Well, what about this footprints I saw? Huh? What do you say about that? I need an answer. Whoa! I've seen that same footprint right here in the attic. Just kidding. But some people have seen huge footprints in the mountains, like this one. I wonder if something else besides a Yeti could have made them. Maxim and Kiana are going to help me find out. I printed out some other tracks that we do know. A grizzly bear's front and rear paws, a black bear track, a wolf track, and a human boot track. Let's see if our detectives can find a match and solve the mystery.
So that's a Yeti paw.
I think we should try on some of the tracks on the Yeti paw to see which one's the most similar.
Okay, let's try that one first.
The grizzly bear's front paw.
That kind of looks similar. There's still some differences.
Yeah, it's not long enough, though the front part seems to fit.
Let's try this one.
Okay.
The black bear paw.
No.
I don't think that fits.
What about the wolf paw? Nope. The human boot?
No.
None of those prints look exactly like the Yeti print.
Maybe we should put this and put another bear paw, just to make sure. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Smart. They're using both the front and the rear bear paw to make it fit.
Yeah, I think this is it. It's big enough.
It's wider.
I think it's good.
That makes sense. If a bear makes a print with his front paws, then steps just behind it with his back paws, the combination looks like a giant footprint. That's probably what fools people. Thanks, detectives. So, to answer the question...
Is there such thing as the abominable snowman?
Well, from what I can see, there's no proof it exists. Aww. Psst. Hey, Zoe. You're ruining my ticket business. Don't you have another question to answer? Come on.
Do Inuit really live in igloos?
I checked, and Inuit now live in modern houses. They also use modern snowmobiles to get around. But the Inuit invented all kinds of things that made life possible in the far north. The Inuit invented snow boots.
These are gummits, and they help keep our feet warm, and they help us keep up on the snow instead of sinking.
Here's something else.
Did you know that Inuit invented the kayak?
That's right. The Inuit invented the kayak, a kind of boat that can travel through icy water. They also invented goggles. And they even invented dog sleds, which were the fastest and furriest way to get around the Arctic before snowmobiles. But the igloo was the Inuits' most famous invention. Outside temperatures can get as low as minus 45 degrees Celsius. But inside an igloo, it can warm up to 16 degrees Celsius with just our body heat. Ah, it's so cold! I want to be in an igloo! An igloo is a smart way to stay warm. I think I'm gonna ask my friends how they stay warm.
Ask a friend. I would make a pile of snow, and then I would make a kind of like a dent inside, and I would probably lay in it.
I put many layers of clothes. First I put tights, then I put my normal pants. Then I put a third layer of splash pants.
I would keep my body active so I keep warm. Bring a bowl of soup with me outside and eat it because soup is hot, so it could warm you up. Put on a jacket, like 4 sweaters. I would go inside my house.
Those are all great ideas, but I think you need some expert help. It's too late! No, it isn't. She works in the Arctic where it's cold and Arctic, and the seals like to Barctic. Please welcome Fantastarctic, Marianne Velardo.
Hi, Zoe.
Hi. I didn't know you were bringing a friend. Nice to... Where's his hand? So, do you really work in the North Pole?
Yeah, I do research in the Arctic to understand how climate is changing the ways animals and people live and get food in the extreme north.
What's the coldest you've ever been?
I think it was about minus 30 degrees, but it was very, very windy. That's why I wear a special suit that's even warmer than a regular coat. It can go about at minus 40 degrees, I think.
Yeah, it's really thick. It must be warm.
Oh yeah, it's really warm. It has a lot of insulation, which means that it keeps the warmth of your body inside the coat and keeps the cold air outside.
Yeah, I definitely want to wear one of these if I was in the coldest place. But here's a question from Chelsea.
How do animals stay warm in winter?
Yeah, what do animals do in the cold? They can't just buy a coat.
I wonder if it comes in pink.
I checked, and some animals obviously have built-in fur coats, and sheep have wool coats in the winter. In the summer, ranchers shave off the wool so the sheep don't get too hot. We use the wool to make sweaters and blankets to keep us warm.
Woohoo! Win-win.
Birds keep warm with their feathers and fuzzy stuff called down, which we sometimes use to make comforters and jackets. But I noticed something about animals who live in really cold places.
Yeah, what's that?
They have a lot of fat on them. Does fat have something to do with staying warm?
Yes, warm-blooded animals have to keep their bodies at a constant temperature. So many Arctic animals have what's called blubber, a kind of fat that insulates their core. It's sort of like what my cold weather suit does.
I've worn a wool coat and a down coat, but I've never worn a blubber coat. That gives me an idea for... my great challenge! My challengers today are Ruby. Hi. And Jaden. Hi. Are you ready for a very icy challenge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, imagine you're seals in the Arctic. And you're trying to catch fish in icy water. It's so cold, I can barely put my hand in it. Your challenge is to reach into the
icy water and grab as many fish as you can in 60 seconds. But don't worry, you're seals, so you have a blubber coat. Marianne will show you how.
So first, you have to dip your forearm into this tub of shortening.
The shortening acts like the seal's blubber. Pretty squishy, huh?
So weird. It feels so, like, slimy.
And now, just like seals, you need some skin to hold that blubber together. So let me help you put that on.
That glove's also full of blubber.
There you go.
This is so weird. Whoa.
Okay. Now the skin.
Is it slimy?
Yeah.
Okay, time to go diving in the icy water. Remember, the one who gets the most fish wins. On your mark, get set, fishing!
There's one. Come on.
Go! Find them!
That's ice. One. There's another one.
Only 12 seconds left, and it's tied up at 3-all. 4-3 for Ruby.
One more.
Jaden ties it up with 5 seconds left. Ruby gets one. Jaden reaching for a fish. Okay, time's up. Jaden, you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ruby, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so Ruby, you're the winner. Okay, so I want you both to put your other hand in and tell me the difference.
Okay.
Oh,
that's way colder.
Yeah, that's because on the right hand, you have the blubber like a seal.
Yep.
And on the left hand, you're a human.
Right.
Okay, because you guys were such great seals, your reward is you get to keep the fish. Ryan had a question about animals without blubber.
How do fish live under the ice? It must be cold there.
Yeah, good question. Fish don't have blubber. How can they not freeze under the ice?
In the cold, fish can slow down their body's functions, so they use less energy.
That's like a video I saw about frogs and how they freeze.
Yes, frogs can do that because they are well adapted to their environment. So are Arctic animals. We've learned about marine mammals that have a thick layer of blubber so that they can live in the Arctic. And then Arctic fish can survive in extremely cold temperatures.
Oh, so could we humans slow our bodies down? Could I freeze myself in the winter and come back later like a frog?
No, humans aren't adapted to do that. You know how you shiver when you're cold? It's your body working hard to try to stay warm. In really cold places, your body tries to keep its core warm, and then your fingers and toes are extra vulnerable to frostbite. We could die in extreme cold.
It's not looking good for Justin's question about how we can freeze ourselves and come back in the future. But I'll keep checking. Thanks for helping me find stuff out, Marianne.
My pleasure.
Marianne said we can't freeze ourselves in the snow and thaw again like frogs. But what if we had a super techno freezing machine? Let's find out. Hi, Don.
Hi, Zoe.
I'm here to see your high-tech freezing machine.
Okay, but we're gonna have to get dressed up first.
Okay.
Let's go.
I'm at the National Research Council's climate chamber, where they can make it as cold as Antarctica. Wow, it was so hot outside, but it's so cold in here.
This is our climate chamber.
It's basically like a giant refrigerator. What do you use it for?
Oh, we use it for all kinds of things. We test trucks and trains and tents to keep people warm in the winter. Anything that's outside, we can test it inside.
Cool.
Very cool.
Woo! It's winter again! Woo! Whoops. Sorry. Having too much fun. But here's a question from Dario.
Is the South Pole colder than my freezer?
Oh, the South Pole is much colder than your freezer. It can get as low as minus 89 degrees C at the South Pole. Your freezer's probably only minus 20, so it's very much colder at the South Pole.
Well, I guess at the South Pole, a freezer would be a good place to warm up. On weather reports, I see something called the wind chill. What does that mean?
When the wind is blowing, it takes heat away from your body, so it makes it feel much colder than the real temperature.
How big a difference is it?
We could find out if you like. We have a big fan.
I think you mean a ginormous fan. It was so cold in here before, but now it's even colder. It feels even colder.
It does.
I don't think I've ever felt colder cold than that.
That felt like minus 65 degrees C. It was only really minus 30 degrees C, so that's 35 degrees colder with the wind.
It was like we really were at the South Pole.
I could really use a hot chocolate now. Hey, what would happen if you took hot chocolate and put it in the climate chamber? Would it turn into instant ice cream? Some of my friends did an experiment like that.
They live in Nunavut, where it's seriously cold in the winter.
2, 3, throw.
Whoa! So cold that if you throw hot water, it freezes before it hits the ground.
Pretty cool, huh? Think we can try something like that?
Let's go try it. Ready, set.
Wow! The water froze in mid-air.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
That is pretty cool. That was awesome. Being a scientist looks like a really cool job.
But now, let's answer Michael's question about freezing stuff.
How cold would it have to be to freeze a ball of iron all the way through so that when you drop it, it shatters?
Okay, so gummy bears aren't exactly iron, but we're gonna see what happens when they get frozen solid.
First, let's see what happens when we hit one that's at room temperature.
It just got squishier.
It's just a little bit dented.
I wonder if the frozen one will be different.
Let's try it.
Yup, that one's frozen solid.
It shattered into 1,000,000 pieces.
So, when the gummy gets really cold, it turns almost into glass. The molecules stick together just like the molecules in glass. So when we hit it, it breaks just like glass.
Interesting. But could you freeze an iron ball so cold that it shatters?
You could, but it'd be pretty hard. Iron balls are made to be strong.
Uh-oh, do try this at home.
Want to see for yourself how cold changes things? Take 2 identical rubber balls, or tennis balls. Put one in the freezer, one someplace warm. The next day, see how differently they bounce. Check this out.
The frozen one hardly bounces at all. Let's see that again in slow motion. Exact same kind of tennis ball, but when it's frozen, it loses its bounce.
But what would happen if people were frozen solid? Have you ever tested that?
That would be a very bad idea. We don't have the technology for that just yet. The water in their cells would freeze. That would kill them.
Yikes. Well, thanks for helping me find stuff out.
You're welcome.
And that takes us back to Justin's question that warmed up my show.
Is it possible to freeze myself and come back to life?
The big answer is... no. We can't freeze ourselves for the future just yet. We die from just being frozen. But maybe that's why people have invented ways to stay warm and survive in the cold.
We invented clothing that keeps us warm in extreme cold. The Inuit invented igloo shelters and ways to get around in cold places. We learned to build big buildings that protect us from winter weather. We even have climate chambers to test how our cars and machines will work in the cold.
We humans are pretty smart. Cold may be dangerous for us, but we've invented all sorts of ways to outsmart it.
I shall defeat you.
Okay, maybe some things the human mind just can't solve yet. Ow. Oh, see you next time for more finding stuff out. Hey, guess what all this stuff's for? I've decided to grill my own lunch. An egg salad sandwich with tomatoes and lettuce. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what a farmer's supposed to wear or what a farmer's supposed to use. Anyway, why am I growing my own lunch? To answer Sarah's question.
If there were no grocery stores, where would we get food?
Good question. That makes me wonder, where does food come from in the first place? Like, where would I get spaghetti from? A noodle tree? That doesn't sound right. But everything you get from the grocery stores, including junk food, like chips, donuts, or hot dogs, have to be made from stuff that was grown by a farmer somewhere. What would we do if we couldn't get food from grocery stores? Would we grow it ourselves? I'm gonna give it a try. And by the end of the show, I'll have the answer to Sarah's question. But first, Brenna has a question that takes us right back to the beginning of it all.
Who invented food?
Oh, berries look delicious, but me not know if they are poison. Me have idea. Watch animals and see which berries they eat. Monkey's eating berries. He seems okay. Now me eat berries. Now me eat berries are poisonous, but me eat too many. Tummy ache.
Ancient humans may have figured out what foods were safe to eat by watching animals and copying them. But it wasn't always the best idea, because some animals eat things that can make people sick. Then about 8,500 years ago, someone had a crazy idea to collect seeds and plant them in the ground and see if they would grow. And they did. I found out it was the very beginning of farming, and it changed everything because people didn't have to wander around looking for food. They could start villages. As people discovered how to grow new foods, they started to trade with other villages. Soon, everyone had a lot of different kinds of foods to eat. Now, for my egg salad sandwich, I'll definitely need some eggs. I just have to find some chickens. But first, here's a great chicken question from Vanessa.
Why do chickens lay different colored eggs? Because I've seen brown eggs and white eggs.
That's a tough egg to crack, Vanessa. But I have some experts who can answer your question. Please welcome chicken farmers Kate Belwick and her son, Fletcher.
Hey, Zoe, I heard you needed some egg layers for your sandwich.
You brought chickens? Hi, chickens. You don't have to eat chicken around me. This is so exciting. Get it? Exciting. So, do you often lend chickens to people?
We do. We actually rent chickens to people who want to have their own freshly laid eggs all summer.
This is awesome. Can I name them?
Yes, it's okay for you to name them. We let everyone name them.
Oh boy. I'll name that one Molly, that one Princess Pumpernickel, that one Pipsqueak, and that one Clucky. So why do chickens lay different colored eggs?
In the beginning, all eggs are white inside the chicken, and different breeds will lay down a different color or a pigment in the last few hours before they're laid.
These three chickens here lay brown eggs, and the chicken over there, she will lay blue eggs. But if you get a cross between the brown egg layers and the blue egg layers, you can get a green egg from them.
Green eggs? Is that where green eggs and ham come from? So are blue eggs blue inside?
Actually, no, they're all the same inside the shell.
So what do they eat?
Well, they actually eat this grain food. It's just a mix of grains all crumbled up.
So how you feed them is you just get a bit of food and you can sprinkle it on the ground and they'll eventually eat it.
How long does it take for them to lay eggs? A couple weeks?
No, not even close. They'll all lay one egg a day, starting right away.
That means I'm gonna have 4 eggs today.
I hope you like omelets.
4 eggs a day? That's 28 eggs a week. And then I'll have 112 eggs a month. And then I'll have 1,344 eggs a year. That means I'll have 672 egg salad sandwiches. Ah, so many sandwiches! Ah! You're gonna make my head explode. I'm gonna have to get cracking.
I'm gonna have to get laying.
Thanks for lending me your chickens, guys. I'll take excellent care of them.
No problem, Zoe. We know you'll be an exceptional chicken handler.
pumpernickel. Such beauties. Ask a friend. Hey guys, what are your favorite foods that are made with eggs?
Eggs with toast. Hot-boiled eggs.
An egg sandwich. Egg salad and tuna sandwich. Cake. Omelets because they taste really good. Pancakes.
I like an over easy, some bacon on the side.
Egg sandwich and egg salad. Egg sandwich, but with like ketchup and broccoli. I'll try that. Now, what else do I need for my sandwich beside eggs? Oh yeah, bread. I actually got a question about bread. Where does bread come from? That gives me a great idea for... My Great Challenge! Today we're playing What's That Food Made From? Melissa, Kiara, your team Munch.
Yeah. Yay!
Daniele, Andrea, your team Crunch.
Yeah!
Each team will have to match up each of the familiar foods over here on the tables with the plant or animal that they're made from. Over there. Let's pull noodles to see who goes first. Okay, Munch, you guys are going first. Get matching.
So, do we take the chocolate first? Where did it go? There? Those I think sort of look like cocoa beans.
Goes there. That's right. Chocolate is made by roasting the beads from inside this weird-looking cocoa plant pod. Team Crunch, go. Team Crunch selected the popcorn, and they're matching it with the corn. And they're right. Heat up dried corn kernels, and they become popcorn.
This should go...
The cinnamon sticks.
I think it goes there.
They're matching the cinnamon sticks with the sugar cane. And that's not right.
A lollipop.
Team Crunch is matching the lollipop with the sugar cane. That's right. Lollipops are mostly made of sugar, which is made by boiling this tall grass called sugar cane.
Bread, maybe? Okay. Yeah, it goes here. Peanut butter should go in.
That's right. Peanut butter is made with peanuts, which grows underground on the roots of the peanut plant.
Cheese. I'm sure it goes with the cow. Yeah.
That was an easy one.
Cheese.
Real easy.
I think the maple syrup is from a tree. That one or that one? Okay. Maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right.
It's right. Maple syrup is made with the sap of the maple tree, which gets boiled down to become thick and sugary. Team Crunch is putting their chocolate in front of the cinnamon tree. Nope.
A lollipop. Put it there.
And Team Munch also gets the cinnamon tree wrong. Agdas, here's the answer to your question. Where does bread come from? Both teams put their bread in front of the wheat, and they're right. Wheat seeds are ground up to make flour, which is the main ingredient in bread.
Salt, maybe.
Ocean is salty.
Okay, put it there. I think it's wrong.
Actually, that's right. Most salt comes from ocean water.
Sea salt. Peanut butter. Where does that go? It has peanuts. Yeah. The cinnamon sticks. Oh no. We should have switched.
That's right, because cinnamon is made from the bark of the cinnamon tree.
Let's put it here. French fries. With the potato.
That's another easy one.
French fries. Popcorn. With corn because it's like popcorn.
It's the last thing.
Maple syrup, it comes from a tree, so it makes sense.
Okay, you guys are done. Team Munch, you have 8 matches out of 10.
Yeah!
And Team Crunch, you also have 8 matches out of 10.
Yeah!
So it's a tie. Thanks for playing What's That Food Made From? Now, let's not all let this go to waste. Come on. I want the car. I want the chocolate. Chocolate.
I want the pop.
Take a good look at that sandwich or at that bubble gum. Do you wonder what they're made of? Where did they come from? We can't have bread without ground up wheat. Gum used to be made with rubber from this tree. Such a chewy treat. See those fish sticks on your plate? They're made from haddock solar cod. That candy floss is made with yak hair, all balled up into a wad. What? It's made of sugar? Oh! Well, if you're ever feeding and wondering what you're eating, come sing this song with me.
ketchup invented?
Who doesn't love ketchup? So I checked, and it's made with squished tomatoes, sugar, vinegar, and it goes with everything. But the first ketchup invented didn't taste anything like this stuff. I found out that it was made from mushrooms, walnuts, oysters, or little fish called anchovies. Yummy. Luckily, a scientist named James Meese introduced tomatoes in his new ketchup recipe, and the rest is history. We make tons of good sauces out of tomatoes, but they didn't always have such a good reputation. The Flat Earth Corner! Behold the deadly and horrible tomato! Save yourself and your children from this stinky, poisonous devil fruit. It was brought to Europe by foolish travelers. Whatever you do, don't eat them, or you will die a horrible death. Instead, try a safe and healthy fruit, like this apple. Oh, it was a tomato! Ah, the end is near! Ah! For over 200 years, people in Europe were afraid of tomatoes? That was thanks to a British barber, surgeon, and scientist named John Gerard. He described tomatoes as stinking and being poisonous, and everyone believed him. This myth began because people ate tomatoes on plates made of a metal called pewter and got really sick. But it wasn't the tomatoes' fault. There was a poisonous chemical in the pewter called lead that seeped into the tomatoes. It's too bad for so long Europeans were missing out. Imagine spaghetti and meatballs without the tomato sauce. It's just not the same. Uh-oh, do try this at home. You guys are the messiest roommates ever. Look at this place. You know, if we lived in a world without grocery stores, you might think you could get your food directly from farmers. Well, it might not be that easy, because a whole lot of the food we get from grocery stores comes from all around the world. So the next time you're at the store, look close at the label, and it will show you where in the world it comes from. See, this pear says it's from South Africa. That's way down here. This garlic comes from China. And these grapes were grown in Mexico. Check out your fruits and vegetables at home. See which ones are grown close to where you live.
Woohoo! Huh? Y'all ain't from around here, are ya?
Now, here's a question from Alyssa.
Can you grow food in the city?
To answer Alyssa's question, I'm meeting Nicholas Taylor, plant science manager who works at a farm.
Where's the farm? These are just big old factory buildings.
Hey, Zoe! I'm up here!
Oh, there you are! Hi, Nicholas!
Hey, welcome to Lufa Farms, the world's first commercial rooftop greenhouse.
Whoa, you really can grow food in the city. But what is your farm doing on the roof?
Good question. What happens is more and more people are filling up all the spaces around the cities and we're running out of land. What we did was rather than to have a farm outside the city far away where we'd have to bring the food in, we brought the farm right into the city. Now, because there's so many buildings, they decided to use areas that were not being used by the people, which is on top of the roofs. What's cool about being on top of a roof is that you capture all that sun that would normally be hitting the roof, but now it's hitting the cucumbers and helping them grow. Here's one of our Lebanese cucumbers. Want to try it?
You mean pick it off the tree?
Yeah, go for it.
Without washing it?
You don't have to. We don't use any synthetic pesticides here.
Oh, no poisonous chemicals to kill the bugs?
Cool. That's really good.
When you grow veggies really close to where the people are picking it up, you can pick it as fresh as possible. So it's super good and packed with nutrients.
So when food has to travel a long time to get here, it loses its flavor.
Absolutely.
And Nicholas tells me that when food travels far to get to us, a lot of it spoils and is wasted. And also that transporting it means burning a lot of fuel. That causes pollution.
Hey, can I help you plant something?
Want to plant some lettuce?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. So we're gonna be planting some butterhead lettuce. They're probably getting a little angry sitting in this tray because we probably should have planted them a couple days ago. So what's cool about this system is that we can grow a lot of lettuce really close together, super efficiently.
Look, a little bug. That reminds me of a question that I got from Amber.
Is bug poison on plants bad for people?
In farms, people can use a lot of bug poison in the form of pesticides. And it has been shown to be kind of rough for people, which is why most people will suggest that you always wash your fruits and veggies. But we don't use any synthetic pesticides here. So we fight bugs with bugs. Right here in front of us, we have a lot of bad guy bugs called aphids. They're eating our peppers. One aphid in about 1 day can make 10 more aphids. And then those 10 make 10, and then those 10 make another 10, and then the plant is just completely covered. So what we use to fight these bugs is more bugs.
What?
In this case,
whoa!
Ladybugs. That's right. But these guys, they're not gonna harm us. They're not interested in me at all. If anything, they're probably confused about my arm hair.
Whoa.
So they're gonna crawl around and they're gonna look for these aphids on these leaves.
It tickles.
Ladybug high five.
Here we go.
Are you ready?
No, I'm good. No, you're gonna squish them!
So all these guys are gonna hang out here because this is the best place in town for ladybugs.
Yeah, 'cause they eat the aphids.
It's eating one now.
That's right, but they don't just eat aphids. They eat all sorts of other little pests. They're kind of like the big boss compared to all the other bugs.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They're so small.
They don't have a tough name,
Yeah.
but they're one of the toughest species we have. Hey, you want to put that out?
Sure.
That's it, perfect.
Good job, little ladybug.
This is a sweet pepper. Want to pick it?
Sure.
There you go. Vegetables you can eat the same day they were picked.
From a farm in the city, on a rooftop. Thanks, Nicholas. This is so exciting. I have fresh vegetables now, and with the eggs from the chicken, my lunch is really starting to come together. But you don't have to get someone else to grow your veggies. You can grow them yourself by planting seeds in your backyard garden or in window boxes. You can even grow new veggies from old leftovers. My friends tried it out.
The experiment! Elaine and Vivian found out that you can grow fresh vegetables from kitchen scraps like these.
What are you doing? I'm gonna try and put this piece of celery in water and see what happens.
You take the bottom part from a celery bunch and sit it in some warm water in the sun.
Let's wait a couple of weeks and see what happens.
Okay. It grows new leaves. Take the sprouting celery and plant it in some earth. Try taking the seeds from inside a pepper plant. Plant them in soil and give them a little bit of water. Put your pots in the sun and wait for a couple of weeks. Look it up. You can do this with many kinds of veggies.
I can't believe this worked. I know.
So there you go. Plant your table scraps and have your own indoor mini farm. Now that's local produce.
Bye, Zoe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. These veggies have had some time to grow. And look at them now. Looks like I can add some celery to my egg salad. That means I have everything I need to make a sandwich. And I can finally answer the question that started off the show.
If there were no grocery stores, where would we get food?
The big answer is... we can grow it ourselves or buy it from local farmers. In fact, it looks like we'll be doing this more and more in the future. Growing food close to home can help avoid some big problems, like waste, poisonous pesticides, and air pollution. Plus, the food is healthier and tastes way better. That rooftop farm I visited is just one amazing way to grow food in the city. There are kids planting gardens in their school yards, and community food gardens are popping up all over the place. People have even turned swimming pools into fish farms.
It's amazing what you can grow if you get creative. Now all I have to do is make my sandwich. Well, I forgot to grow wheat to make bread. Good thing my mom picked up a loaf of bread from the local farmer's market. That still kind of counts, right? This is the best homebrew sandwich I've ever eaten. Princess Pumpernickel, Clucky, your eggs are delicious. Great job, guys.
Thanks, Ollie.